It's review time in the world of tanks with Dangerously Incompetent. In this episode, the Marder 38T German Tier 4 tank destroyer. Recently featured in Top of the Tree for the Jagdpanzer E100. I thought I'd have another go at it and see what it's like compared to the Hetzer. Starting with the armour, for details see my weak spot guide, but generally it's awful. If anyone shoots you, they're going to shoot you in this superstructure, which is only 15 mils thick. And it's open on the rear, and there you can see the ammo stowage. So any high explosive can get through this tiny little screen, and then it's right next to the ammo rack, so kaboomy if you get shot. The hull is fairly tough on the front, but the superstructure is awful. Don't get shot is the only option. Mobility, top speed, reasonable for a tank destroyer. It's enough to relocate to get a shot resolution. Not really quick enough to flex, and it's not really manoeuvrable enough to brawl. But it hasn't got a turret, so that really makes brawling not an option. But the truck traverse of 42 is enough to stop people circling of death you. You can turn and get those light tanks as they come around you. But they don't need to get to your rear, they can just shoot you in the front. So, yeah. One thing to note, it does have a quick reverse. Well, quicker reverse than most, which is helpful if you do get spotted from your sniping position. Gun! Now that's the really nice bit about this tank. The gun. Let's pop it up. They're all much of a muchness, they just get a little bit better as you go up. The three different guns. Characteristics. Rate of fire. Great. Absolutely great. That's where the DPM from this gun comes from. It fires really fast. Penetration is a bit on the low side for a TD, and damage is a bit on the low side for a TD. But the handling is great. 0.5, 35. Dispersion, that's very accurate. Aiming time of 1.5 is quite quick. So the handling, great. And you can live with the penetration and damage because it's made up for with the rate of fire. The other parts of the gun handling. Elevation and depression, minus 9 degrees. 9 degrees of gun depression, that's pretty good. So you're rarely going to struggle to get your gun down to people, and plus 9 is okay for looking up. And then traverse. Now bear in mind this doesn't have a turret, so you can't turn the gun all the way around. You can only wiggle it in this gap in the superstructure, but that wiggle is 56 degrees of traverse, 28 either side, which is awesome. Very helpful for a vehicle with no turret, because as soon as you push your gun past the outside its arc of fire, the tracks move, and then you get the reticle bloom and you become inaccurate and you've got to aim in again. So you can just lock your tracks, and with 56 degrees of gun traverse you can pretty much get your gun to anyone you're looking at. Well, most of the time. When they get close you have to turn your tracks, but and the other bonus for that is with your tracks not moving, then camouflage net and binoculars, they just sit there and work, because every time you move your tracks they stop working until you become stationary again for 5 seconds or so. Doesn't sound like much, but it makes a real difference, especially when you're trying to hide and shoot. Speaking of hiding, camouflage is not that great for TD. It's better than mediums and heavies, but not that great for TD, basically because it's quite tall. But it's still quite capable of hiding behind bushes and underneath a camo net. Any other stats we should talk about? Oh, specific power, yeah. Oh, that's quite good. It's all right going up hills. It's all right for a TD. And the terrain modifiers are okay. Overall, its movement is reasonable, pretty good. You're not good enough for brawling, not quick enough over the long haul to flex from one side of the battlefield in the other, but good enough to relocate to get a new shot. View range is much better than the Hetzer. It's on a par with tier 4 medium tanks. Light tanks outstrip it easily, but it's pretty good, pretty reasonable for a tank destroyer. And it's certainly good enough to use binoculars to improve it and get up to 400. That's pretty good for tank destroyer. You can do quite a bit of spotting yourself if the need arises. Just got to find a good position for it. Equipment. What do I run with? Well, it's only tier 4, so I only bothered with the small first aid kit, repair kit, fire extinguisher. Equipment wise, camo net and binoculars, absolutely must, because what you do with this tank is you snipe and you want to be hidden and you want as much chance of spotting the enemy as you can. Third choice, I went for the gun laying drive. Your rate of fire is very high, so you don't need the rammer to increase it, mainly because the ammunition count is quite low, 38. You can use up all your ammunition in just over 2 minutes, or well, with a good crew, just under 2 minutes I'm doing it in. And a battle's 15 minutes long, so you can run out of ammunition real quick, so you don't really want to fire any faster. So I went for the gun laying drive because that helps you get more shots because you aim quicker. So when the enemy pops out of cover, you've only got so much time before you have to shoot, and the more aimed in you are, the better your chance of hitting them, or the shorter the time for the fully aimed in, the more opportunities you have to fire. Skills wise, Sixth Sense is an absolute must, because you'll find yourself hiding in bushes and sniping from those bushes, and you really do need to know when you've been spotted in order to run off behind some hard cover somewhere. Everyone else, camouflage. Absolutely must have camouflage as your first skill, and never let it drop much either if you're going in for the skill resetting method of getting other skills. Skills afterwards are probably Brothers in Arms. Another 5% on your crew skills, so that's another 5%. Helping your view range, helping your accuracy, helping your reload speed, yeah. That's what you want. When you first start off in this tank, what should you research first, or should you spend free XP? Looking at the gun, it's just a bit nicer, so you don't really need to spend free XP to get that. And if you're going sniping, you don't tend to move around much, so you don't really need to spend free XP to make this vehicle work. But once you do have XP, I would go up the guns first, because better guns are always nicer, and then the tracks, and then the engine. Compared to other tank destroyers of this tier 4, its armour is pathetic. Its movement is okay. Its gun is great. It compares favourably. It's more limited than most. Well, not most, but many of them. Things like the Hetzer has got the armour to go brawling or go into town, and turn around the corner and go, oh, there's an enemy. Boom! There we go. How to play this tank. Snipe, snipe, and snipe again. You sit at the back behind a bush, blamming away. It isn't a recipe for having a unicorn win rate, but it's a recipe for having a good win rate because your gun is so good. Your gun is the best part of this tank destroyer, and that's what you use. And to use it, you snipe. Of course, this makes you very reliant on the rest of your team. You need them to stay alive long enough for you to do the killing. If they all die, charge in and die, then there's nothing stopping the enemy lights and mediums zooming forward, and once they spot you, they'll start shooting you. You don't have the armour to brawl. You're not going to bounce any shots. As soon as you're spotted, your time on this earth is very limited. That's remember, you do not push. It's the last thing you do is push. Literally the last thing you do, because as soon as you start moving forward, you'll be seen, you'll be shot, you'll be penetrated. Your only hope is that your rate of fire will allow you to kill your opponent before he kills you. Of course, if there's more than one of them, that's very unlikely. How did I do with it? Quite well. Where's my win? My win rate got up to 58% overall. So quite happy with it. In summation, it's an excellent TD. Gets the Dangerously Incompetent thumbs up. But remember, that's the only thing it can do, really, realistically. If you try to do anything else, you're just going to die. You're going to die. You might take someone with you, but you're going to die. That's my review of the Marder 38T. Thumbs up.